shut down and went home because they didn't want the people in Iran to hear what we were saying. Right? This is what, so, yeah.
Some media organizations from there received an award from Iran.
Some who?
Some media organization, or is it IR?
Islamic Republic, IRNA, something like that.
Something like that.
IRNA, right.
Right, okay, well, they received an award based on their coverage of that. Because they were supposed to be on the scene, right after George Floyd got killed. So their coverage of that, got them this reward.
Right.
So I guess my question is, first of all, if you know that, if you're familiar with them, were they falling in line with that same program that they wanted a picture, a particular picture of that situation that was counter to ours?
Okay. The media back home right now, when I say back home, it means Iran. The head of the media got his job because 30 years ago, he was staying in the Masjid around there when we was around there. And they brought him to me, or I met him in the office, and the brothers say, you get around, we want you to take the brother around. We went around the United States, the eastern United States. We went up to Boston, and he did interviews with Noam Chomsky and did that whole show. And he did a program, which was a 12-hour program of me. And he did it 1 hour. And so I took him all around here to see, and I tell it, because he looked European. Some Iranians look European. So he looked European. I said, you have to keep the camera down. This is in the 90s. I said, because the Negro, if they see you and they see me, they're going to think you the police taking pictures of them, right? And they're going to see me and they're going to think I'm a snitch taking you around and setting them up. So you got to keep that camera out of sight. So we went around, we would take pictures of everywhere, all right there by the shrimp boat, all wherever, right all around here, everything, and all up and everywhere. The people of Iran liked that program so well that they made him the head of Islamic Revolutionary Broadcasting. He became the chief. That's why he calls me now, and he would call. He's the same one that made the movie on Isa alayhi salam. Do you remember the guy that was here showing the film? Okay, on Esau. He showed it here. Yeah, he showed it here. And, the response of the Negro was superior. He showed it to a lot of people because he got an award from the Vatican on that view, an alternative view. And so he became the head of the Islamic. He is right now up to the day. He has a lot. He's the most famous broadcaster there. And when you go, they got a whole new broadcasting area that, like, when you go on, you got to have an ID to get in. They got antennas sticking up all over, so the radio, the TV, everything, they got it. It's a central location. and you want to go, you want to do interviews. That's what they got a nice hookup. He's in charge of all of that. And I took him around, and the thing about our position is they know our position. We're in with everybody that does that. But the people that are in charge are, they're moderates. They're moderates, and it's not, they're trying to sell the people of Iran. That's why if you notice, whenever I come on, I don't care where it is, first thing I do is thank the people of Iran for doing this and doing that, and they don't like that. They want them to think that they're not doing that good, and if they did it this way, it would be better. They can't say it, but when you look at all of their programs, you would get that view, is that they got a group of people. See, anyway, after a revolution, during a revolution, the people that take over they take over a revolution. And in the beginning, when the war is going on, 1980 to 1988, there's not much, people don't bring up too much because you got to keep focused. We got to win this war, right? So all the presidents then was focused. Bani Saad, they got rid of him in 2-3 days. Well, not that quick, but he didn't last no time. They got rid of him. He just died in France last month. Abu Hassan Bani Saad, he was a munafiq. Anyway, everybody else, the Rahbar, Rafsanjani, Khatami, Ahmadinejad. I have friends that told me, big people up in I hate Ahmadinejad. I hate him. So, I didn't say you shouldn't hate him because he's Iranian too and you're all Muslims, but because I wanted to hear what he have to say. I hate him. And the program he has says he wants to give more money to the poor and whatever. Doesn't sound that bad to me. But I didn't say nothing because I wanted him to give me his picture. That crew is out now. Their philosophy is out now. But I would like to say this. The Islamic Republic of Iran's political team that's on board now is really learned a lot. After 40 years, you're going to get the game. And after being under all that pressure, they're outperforming anybody in the world. They're outperforming anybody in the world. That's why last week, we're going to have a conference on Afghanistan and bring all those people together. Now, it ain't just Iran that they can, because everybody is watching them, hey man, they're getting sharp. They're getting sharp. Now, let me try to explain something. Years ago, during the 80s and the early 90s, the greatest experts on Iran were people like Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui. And he wrote books on Iran. And he was sharp, okay? So we had a lot of the same characteristics. Years ago, Iranians would ask me, Imam Musa, what are we going to do? Because we had more experience, we've been in the struggle, and they're all younger. And I'll tell you the truth. This is not on the record here, but it's fine. Let me explain. We have a couple of articles on strategy and one strategic management, right, and what have you. During those years, they would take me to Iran and they would take me like these 3-bedroom apartments right there, these things right there, these 3-bedroom houses. They would have places like that and they would take me there and that whole thing would be mine. I would be there. And they was for keeping me away from the main programs, although I'd come down and make a cameo appearance. But they had me coming there since the 7 and 8 and 9 and all that. And this was interview after interview. They call them our experts want to talk to, in other words, they're managers. And they would some of the articles, they would say, did you really write this stuff? I said, okay, here's how this stuff goes. I said, some of this stuff is from research. I said, like when you first become a musician, you play the standard music and you have favorite people that you like. And then later on, as you get on up there, you have your own sound. I said, these articles are like that, because these are strategic management is a regular management. The first part is regular management, right? Regular strategic management. And then at the end, you're picking up, it's not the public sound, it's a personal, our personal additives about what we're doing here. And strategic management under conditions of repression might be strategic management under conditions of repression, but the conditions of repression has evolved now from particular management principles and structure and organization to at least 50% of it is written from us, not from notes and well, you always have to take notes. What I mean is we're writing that based on our experience and what have you here in America. And so they went through this. The guy that was one of the professors, English professors, he would read it and he said, did you really write all of this stuff? I said, yeah, I wrote it. I said, most of it is mine, especially down near the end. Because, see, they had him doing so much that he was getting a headache because, see, headaches was coming because English, he's a professor of English. But now he speaks Persian and everything. He's getting a headache from reading all of this because there's, a certain language being, and he's talking with me. Finally, they done their research on me. He says, now we want to teach you about our management stuff. So the first class was sitting there. So I said, hold it, would you tell him that I got all that stuff down? And he told the guy in Persian, he says, this guy has already told me everything you're telling him about management, about organization. He's way out there. So I told him, I said, that thing he has is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, stuff like that from 1966. I said, that's what he has right there. And I told him, he says, that's what he has because that's what he showed me. And he already knows. In other words, this is 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. They didn't have nothing to teach me. but they're catching up now. They're different. You could see what they're doing, right? They have evolved. Number one, anybody that's a leader, they don't go back to you know storage bin like they do. Once you've been president, they have expediency council. You go on a council, you have a whole complex of your own. You have your own staff. Yeah, so you're part of what they call it. You help expedite things. What they do is they're not letting your experience go to waste. You have been president for so long. Of course, what's the name not there? Like Khatami, because, you get, anyway, I could see from the UN